there wasn't pain, it wouldn't be worth it. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Journey to Greatness with David McDonald. And we are day 48. Today is Soul Cycling Day. Excuse me. Hope you all had wonderful, eventful Fridays. I know I did. I went to sleep at 9 o'clock. Oh, no, it was like 10. I remember when I was bodybuilding. I would go to bed early just so I could wake up and eat breakfast. Like, I was so adamant about going to sleep early. It was awesome. Same kind of thing here. Go to sleep early just so I can wake up early. It's cool. Anyway. Proceed. There we are. Let's go. You can't tame the untamable, baby. You cannot tame the untamable. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. All my winners out there. Today is the day of greatness. Today is the day of community. You're in charge of all of this. And that's what makes it so beautiful. Time for our book reading time. Let me see here. What was I going to say? Fire. All right, so we have let me see here. Good morning, Liz. Good morning, Uncle. Good morning, Liz. Miss Miner, good morning. All right, so we have silencing the enemy within. Now, we talked about self-sabotage, to stop self-sabotaging yourself, and how our bodies, or how our response to losing money is similar to that of a mortal threat to your life, and how you back up and pretty much go into red alert mode. Money isn't everything, know yourself. Then Tony Robbins continues, and he says, he's talking about Paul Tudor Jones. And Paul Tudor Jones was really successful in making financial investments. And one of his main keys was he was able to create standards for himself. And he was able to pretty much create like a system that allowed him to make decisions in the investment space. Well, what I take away from this personally, especially when it comes to me as, a person, as a man, is create standards and have standards for yourself. For example, let's say you meet somebody or you're hanging out with somebody and they do things that you have maybe grown from or you're not really aligned with anymore. If you have standards for yourself, then you can remove yourself from that place or choose not to be involved in that energy any longer because you're no longer in that space, or you never were in that space to begin with. So comparatively to stocks, have standards when you're trading. So create a checklist, create a system. There's actually a lot of systems out there. This week is really, really like a really big week. I made one of my investments, and it's pretty cool to just be able to take that step. If anybody needs help with that, just let me know, and just message me on my personal page or on the Journey to Greatness. But let's see how that goes. So that's going to be pretty awesome. Another thing is 80% psychology and 20% mechanics. So ding, 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 truth. Let the truth be told. For 4 decades, I've studied the most successful people in many different fields, including investing, business, education, sports, medicine, and entertainment. And what I found again and again is that 80% of success is psychology and 20% is mechanics. So you build your mind, you change your life. You change your mind, you change your life. You change your attitude, you change your life. All that revolves around your psychology. Your life no longer is, how do I do this? It is, I have completed this already. I live from this place of completion. Therefore, I connect with the emotion. Change your life. 80% of this life is psychology. I totally align with that. And I do believe that, in fact, it is. In every single thing that you do, if you believe it's hard, it's hard. I mean, we talk about this concept all the time. If you believe it's easy, it's going to be easy. No matter what your reality is telling you. Oh, well, that's not reality, Dave. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I can't argue with you. You have your perception, I have my perception. And I can tell you most of the days, every single day, whether it's high or low, I'd say I'm grateful. We're always trying to find the silver lining. So, I mean, really, we're not manifesting anything negative for ourselves at any point in time. Even when negative shows up, it's still, oh, well, it could be perceived as negative, but the other perception is, what did I do to manifest such a situation? Where's the silver lining within this learning experience? Oh, you didn't get that listing appointment? Okay, well, what could you have done better? What are you going to do next time to ensure that you do get it? Don't beat yourself up because there's a silver lining. Maybe you didn't want to work with that client. Maybe they were a client who was, really demanding, or, just had really, really high expectations for their property and wouldn't accept any offer that just came in, right? There's like millions and millions and millions. We talked about all the different millions of possibilities of reasons why things could go wrong or why things could go right. So, I mean, you just take it as they come. 80% of this life is psychology, period. Like I of learning too. Like everything is just, but which brings me to a point. One of my mentors, he doesn't know he's my mentor yet, but one of my mentors is Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, a lot of people know him as, is like a really, really cool guy. I like him because he's very candid, and he's very forward, and he doesn't care. And it's funny when you watch Gary talk to people, like you see their attitude shift, like, because he'll go into a spot and just start cursing up a storm, and just like, oh yeah, F this, F that, blah, 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 blah. But he'll just be dropping, education bombs on people, just, and then when he's talking to them, you can tell the person looks a little bit uncomfortable, and then they'll shoot back and they'll say something back, and then they'll mirror his attitude, right? And I just think that's really interesting. But if you don't use profanity when you talk, then don't use profanity. If you do, then just do it and don't care, right? Like, but anyway, so he visited Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey Hussle is a rapper out in California. Nipsey's a really, really smart guy, and he raps, and he writes his raps, but like mentally, he's a masterminder. He's a think tank. He's a strategist. Like, he's super smart. So what he did was, he was like, I need another angle on my rap game, right? I need to improve my game. I need to, make it better. I need to make it refreshing. Like, how do I become number one in this industry? What can I do that's different? And pretty much Gary Vaynerchuk went out to LA, went to his studio. They hung out, and he gave him another perspective. And long story short, he said, do you want to know what, you want to know what, and Eli, you might find this helpful. He goes, what will make you just so dynamic and the best at what you do? And Nipsey looks at him, he goes, what's that? And he said, put a song out every single day, 365, right? And Nipsey was like, oh yeah, right? Okay, but pause. For anybody out there who hasn't produced music, it's pause. To write one song is something. And then there's a whole bunch of mental things that you got to jump over. Oh, what if they don't like it? Oh, all this noise, right? But like, to produce 365 songs, like, for 1 year straight, that's discipline. Like, that'll be waking up at 5, going through your routine. By 9 o'clock, you have a song written. Like, your material is just flowing. You're allowing you're just downloading the messages of the universe, and you're just putting out good quality music, because you're a musician anyways. Like, you only need one of those songs truly to be liked by the right person to be sharing out your viral, right? So, I mean, that's just one segment. But when he said that, I was like, holy smokes. Like, what if I told you that if you did something for 2 years or 3 years, you would have all the success in your world? Well, would you do it? Like, I occasionally will talk to people, and they're like, oh yeah, you guys have been getting up at 5 and this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, but what if I told you, if you woke up for 365 days a year, you read books 365 days a year, you journaled, you documented your year, and you lived your life with intention for 1 year, and you sacrificed everything that you've known up to this point, you could change your life forever. Would you do it? And most people are like, oh man, like, that's, that takes a lot of work. And I'm like, but I think to myself, I'm like, that's the black window of opportunity. We talked about that. That little window, that little space is the space that few of us choose to dwell or be in. But if you could be in that space, if I told you, I challenge you, I am challenging you, I'm challenging myself to do this for 365 days, and then analyze, look back, reflect, Have a roundtable discussion with everyone who has been on for one day, who's been on for a week, who's been on for 3 months, who's been on for a year, whatever it is, and then talk about how our lives have changed. It would be one of the most powerful things ever. But if I told you that you could do it, would you do it? You know, it's almost like that story about the guru and the guy who said, you know, I want to be successful. And I'm sure you guys all heard this. There's a kid, excuse me if I'm butchering this, but there's a kid who told this guy who was really successful, this guru who's like, hey, I want to be really successful. So then the guy goes, okay. So the guru goes, okay. He said, meet me out by the water tomorrow in the morning, super early, crack of dawn, like 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, right? He said, meet me out on the beach tomorrow. He said, so then, you know, the kid went home. He's like, oh yeah, I'm about to learn how to be successful, right? He came with his suit. He was, you know, dripped to the nines. He came out to the beach, and the guru said, okay, are you ready? He said, yes. He walked out into the water. Okay. The water probably came up to his knees, and he asked the young man, he was like, all right. He said, come out here. Come out to the water. In his suit, in his shoes, everything. And he walked out into the water. He goes, should I take my clothes? No, don't even take your clothes off. Just come straight out to the water. And then he got up to knee level. So then the guru took a couple steps back. And now the water was up to his chest. And he said, come. He said, come a little bit further. And the young man, he walked a little bit further, right, through this water in his full suit. He's like, I want to be successful. I want to be successful. And then the guru looked at him. He said, you want to be successful? He said, yes. He grabbed the man, boom, dunked him in the water, held him there. The kid's struggling, oh, and then held him there, and then let him up. And he's gasping for air. Oh my, why'd you do that? Oh my God. Why'd you do that to me? And the guru looks at him. He goes, you have to be successful. Your urge to be successful has to be as strong as your urge is wanting to breathe. He's like, if you don't want your success as much as you want to breathe, then you don't really want success. Universal awakening, bang, right? Like what? You know, like imagine you're underwater suffocating and you want air. You need air, you know, like you have to want to, you know, and like the thing that's so crazy to me is like in 365, you may or may not change. Who knows? But you have to change something that you're doing in order to, you know, to change the whole biochemistry of your whole entire life. So I say all that to say I'm really excited for today. But I've been having these conversations, you know, and we all are capable of the same magnificence. Everyone who's in this session today, you guys are all powerful beyond measure. You all have the ability to command the universe to give you what you want in alignment with the higher power, right? You can use your powers for good. You can use it for evil. How are you define that's totally up to you. But if I told you, if you did something like focused on yourself, channel your energy, gave yourself time 1 hour a day for 365 days a year, would you do it? And a lot of people are like, it's hard. But I don't know. 365, man. You know? And I can tell you, for the 3 days that we missed, this is a lesson I've learned. I've talked to people about this. For the 3 days that I've missed, it's because I've been out too late. It's because I've been out too late. So I just been, you know, out socializing a little bit too late. Or I had one too many drinks. So it makes it hard to wake up in the morning. Those are the two variables. Okay? Those are the two variables. So what I have to do in my mind, I have to say, okay, there's no more of that. I got to make sure I'm in bed by a certain hour. Or I got to wake up, you know, super early. But those are the only two variables out of, the 48 days that we've been doing this. So it's like, okay, well, then, I don't drink that. I don't drink often. That's the thing, though. So, like, let's say I decide to, have an old fashioned, or a Moscow Mule, and I have one of them or I have two of them. It's like, okay, so don't overdo it. Like, keep it just there. Like, just keep it there. Pay attention, because there's some time. You have a commitment that you gotta commit to. So it's just like, when you eliminate these two variables, everything is well. Okay, so now your whole life balance, everything about you is changed, because you can't afford to do these activities. You can't afford to have these variables in the equation and then successfully be over here, producing at the highest level possible for yourself. And it's different for everybody. I know some people who are just kill it and they'll go out, have the time of their life, and be up at 5, rocking and rolling, talking about, okay, when we can go work out, 1 o'clock, take a nap, wake up, and then do that thing. So, I think that it's just different for everybody. But for me personally, it's like, okay, I see the two variables that I need in order to be ultimate successful, and then I just do it. So anyway, we didn't journal today, but yeah, we're about to go to soul cycling, and we're celebrating today all of those who were with us for the first 30 days. That was on me. And then for everybody who, goes through that 30 days and does it successfully every day, and, are on point, are on message here with us in our sessions, then, we'll have a celebratory with that on the 60-day mark, and then the 90-day mark, and then 120 and 150, so on and so forth. So, man, 120 days, 150, 160, 160 day, 180. 180 days will be here in no time. So, let's make the most of it. I love you guys. Have a good rocking weekend. And the Journey to Greatness, shout out at the Journey to Greatness. We have more things coming out soon, so be on the lookout. I love you guys. See you tomorrow at 5.